What is up, everybody? AJ Reilly here with Eric Vincent for your favorite Detroit sports show, Beyond the Box, where we are
You
looking at every possible sport that is out there to talk about. Tonight, we're going to talk a little baseball. We're going to talk a little football because football season apparently never ends.
no,
And then
not
we
at
got a
all.
little hoorah, who cares, coming your way. But Eric, right off the top, you survived Iceageddon.
And actually, you know what? I'm sorry, I rolled my eyes, but it wasn't bad for where I was, but
Okay,
it impacted other people. So I'm
sure,
not going to be insensitive. I didn't lose
sure.
power. I was good in Southfield, but everybody else, I'm with y'all, man. I've seen a lot of people in Ferndale, like where else? Some people downtown Detroit area.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost power. I'm with y'all, man. I'm
I
with y'all.
came upstairs Wednesday night. I was working a little bit, came upstairs, and my wife goes, "Do you think we're safe? Because we back up to woods, and our neighbor's front yard tree just buckled,
Oh no.
and we've got like an older tree in our front yard too, and like it was like if my son, who's 5 years old, walked outside, the branch would have hit his head. That's how
Oh
low it
Jesus.
was hanging. I was like, I don't know. So we just decided to have a little family camp out in the old basement Wednesday night.
There you go.
Not great for sleep, but it worked out. Everybody was safe. Everybody was fine. Nobody that I know got injured, so
Good play.
good.
That's all.
Hopefully everybody
Yeah, that's all wild.
survived and everybody was safe. The
Yeah.
weird ice storm that also involved thunder, so apparently it was being called like thunder ice on social media.
It's like just every
What?
single major hazard
Yeah.
like came up. It was windy.
Can
it was
Michigan
snowing, it was
just make up
icy.
its mind what kind of
Please.
weather it's gonna have?
We,
Like,
we
let's
had
just
we had 60-degree days in December last year.
I
Like, can we
know.
get some kind of
Can we
consistency, please?
just something? Just something.
Lord.
Like welcome to Michigan where you get fall vibes in the morning or spring vibes in the morning and then a nice thunderstorm in the afternoon, right?
Pure
It
Michigan.
is what it is. Well, one place where there is not ice, Eric, is Lakeland, Florida, where the Detroit Tigers tomorrow on
What a
Saturday
transition. What a
are
transition.
you like that? That was good. You like that? Yeah. Tomorrow on Saturday, the Tigers are going to kick off their Grapefruit League spring training
Mhm.
against the Phillies at 1 p.m. Garrett Hill is going to be on the mound. But the question was asked, and I'm going to present the question to you. Are you fed up with the Tigers? Because it seems like there are a lot of fans who are fed up with the Tigers. I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
I wrote we wrote an article about Spencer Turnbull, and I
Okay.
shared it to some different Tigers pages.
Mhm.
And the author did a great job. But the very first comment that somebody gave was like, who cares? I was like, it's a dude coming off of Tommy John surgery. He has the last no-hitter in Tigers history as of right now. He's working his way back. He's part of your team, and that's kind of our collective response as fans.
Mhm.
How you feeling about the Tigers, Eric, coming into 2023? Are you just fed up with the Tigers?
I don't want to say I'm fed up. But I do want to speak for the disgruntled fan. I want to speak for that
Here we go.
bitter, angry fan because while it may not be like I'm a wrestling fan,
Sure.
it's good to be like mad at the heels or like the teams you're mad at because at least you still have interest. The Tigers are getting to a point where like casual fans and like normal fans like me, where they may not care as much. I don't want to say I'm fed up, but I absolutely understand the lack of interest right now. Like, let's be clear. Let's take it before last year.
Man.
The
Okay.
Tigers have been in a position where they've been either refusing to rebuild and sitting in like this purgatory stage, or just telling us there's no more rebuild. We're either rebuild, but then in the middle of the season or beginning of the season have to go into a rebuild mode. So the fans have been dealing with a lot, and seeing with the product, it hasn't been great. They were bottom 20s in fielding, pitching, and batting last season. They were terrible in all aspects.
Bottom 20s.
So,
They were like bottom 25.
yeah, like that's
Defensively, they were a pretty good team. They were decent defensively, but offensively,
Thanks
they
to-
were the worst team in the MLB.
thanks to Reilly Green. He is the one shining star that I'm looking forward to watching.
For
But
sure.
outside of that, yeah, I don't blame the fans for feeling checked out. I feel like, again, like we talked about last time, I feel like the biggest, like outside of Reilly Green, the best thing that came last season was Miggy chasing history and that's not necessarily a good thing when you're trying to contend and reestablish winning. So
For sure.
yeah, it's a lot of frustration, and I understand it from the fan base. I really do.
I understand it, I guess. Like, I don't know. I go back and forth on this because, listen, in the middle of last year, before Alec Vila was fired, on my baseball show, The Corner, I did a segment and said, straight up, Tigers fans had been lied to. Because
you can make that case.
That is kind of what it feels like.
Yep.
Who do you place the blame on, though, for the state of this team?
The front office. It has to be the front office. Like I said,
But-
if you go.
But who in the front office? Are we blaming Scott Harris 5 months on the job?
No. I'm just blaming
he's
the
the
regime
front
just
office.
before that. I blame the regime just before that.
Okay.
Even back to where Illich kind of power before. He was in a position where they were bringing guys God, I forget the name now. Where they were bringing in a George Zimmerman, and they were trying to make it seem like,
Justin
we're still just a
Upton.
couple. Justin, that's the name I was thinking of.
Yeah.
The names that they were saying, we're still in contention mode. No, you're not. It's time maybe to kind of pull back and let go of some of these bad contracts, maybe get rid of some of these pieces that aren't fitting. And they weren't trying to do that. They were trying to act like they were better than they were during these building stages. So I think that's kind of added to some of the disinterest and the lying and deceiving that you were talking about.
I think the biggest mistake and the biggest misstep that was made was before last season when they signed Eduardo Rodriguez. They made a trade for Austin Meadows. They signed Javi Baez. Mr. Illich gets out and goes, not Mr. Illich, because that title is revered for Mike Illich. Chris Illich says the rebuild is 100% over.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Tigers, right? If we're a fan, okay, are we that fickle that just because we've had to be patient through a bad regime, we now are going to cast the sins of that regime on the new regime? Because that's what's happening. There's a lot of blame because this offseason, and we talked about this a little bit, and we're going to get into it a little bit more. Do you think the Tigers did enough this offseason to make 2023 interesting?
No. Not at all. Because to me, it has to come with, a lot of hope is being pinned on those young players we've talked about, like Torkelson. A lot of we wait on him. Riley Green, we're going to see another step forward taken for him.
Akil
Baddoo. There's a lot of guys. Baez has to have a bounce back year too. Miggy cannot again be the standout for this team. That cannot be the story.
He won't be.
I hope not. And on top of that too, adding to the frustration, I think people are still upset about the Carlos Correa fumbling, especially considering what he just did this offseason.
Hold on a second, though. Hold on a second. Let's go back to Carlos Correa. What Carlos Correa fumbling? What fumbling? What did they do wrong?
He was supposed to be a target for the Tigers.
They targeted him. They offered him 8 years, $275 million last year.
I thought he was lowballed by the Tigers. I said
no.
A lot
they
of
offered
the
him
was that he was lowballed.
No, absolutely not. And whatever narrative that came from needs to die very quickly. The front office offered him a long-term $275 million deal. He wanted $300.
Why would I give him $300?
I wouldn't have given him $300 last year.
Is that sizable of a difference? $275 is pretty big too.
$275 is pretty big.
8-year span.
For sure. I wouldn't have given him 8 years either. But they offered him that.
Though. Yeah, that's baseball. They love those extended long contracts like that.
They do. Well, the players do because it's guaranteed money, right?
Right,
and that's where you see. But you say they fumbled the Carlos. They didn't fumble the Carlos Correa last year. Could they have offered more money? Yeah. But personally, I would have said, hey, Carlos, give us 5 years. Let's go 5 years. We'll give you an astronomical average annual salary.
Okay.
And come play for us for 5 years and then go in free agency again. You know what I'm saying? But to say that they didn't try, they did try. They offered him a contract and he turned it down and went and signed a ridiculous, should have never been signed contract with the Twins.
Wasn't
a 3-year, $300 and whatever million contract with opt-outs after year 1 and year 2? That's a ridiculous contract. That is not a team-friendly contract. And not that he should be signing a team-friendly contract, but that is organizationally, that's a bad contract.
Right.
And then
But
you
also-
saw the mess that happened this year with him. He was on 4 different teams this year.
Sure, but you could have debated that maybe he would have had a better fit here with the Tigers.
For sure.
Considering the relationship he had with the manager,
With
like
Hank.
considering their need for the infield, like he
Shortstop,
could have been a good stop. Like, and especially if you're pitching this narrative of the rebuild, not you, but the front office say the rebuild's over, the rebuild's over. You make those kind of splashes to prove that.
Okay, I agree with you in that sense.
Right.
But they also spent upwards of $200 million last year.
Do you think it was well spent?
For Javi, I don't mind Javi. For Eduardo Rodriguez, he can go into the sun for all I care. I'm not. To be honest with you, you want my honest opinion?
I do.
I
yes.
really hope that Scott Harris is on the phone with Brian Cashman right now with the New York Yankees, saying, "I've got Eduardo Rodriguez, and I'll eat this much of his salary so that you'll take him." Because the Yankees have a starting pitcher that just went down with shoulder surgery.
Mm-hmm.
They need starting pitching. We have starting pitching. We got a lot of depth starting pitching. Is it going to hurt our rotation to start the year? Yeah, it's going to hurt our rotation to start the year, but you know what it's going to do? It's going to get young guys the opportunity to throw innings, which is what this year is about.
Okay.
So for everybody that's out there, and I want to be very cautious because as a fan, I get it. You're sick of being patient, right? Because you've been told to be patient since 2017 when this rebuild began.
Yep.
They made the playoffs the last time in 2014. 2015 was a disaster of a year. That's when Dombrowski left. He made the trades that he made, bringing Matt Boyd and Daniel Norris and Michael Fulmer to the team. 2016, you say, they weren't really in contention. They were one game out of a playoff spot in 2016.
Yep.
They lost on the last day of the season in Atlanta, and had they won that game, they would have been in the playoffs. So they were technically still on like that fine line of, are we good or are we not good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a lot more we're not that good, specifically because Brad Ausmus was our manager then. But then you had the trade of JD in 2017. You had the trade of Justin Verlander in 2017. And then the trade of just about everybody else after that. So since 2017, it's been, okay, we're going to rebuild this. We're going to rebuild it this way. And they trusted Alavila to do that. Didn't go well.
No.
I guess that's the best way to say it, right? It did not go well.
No, but like on top of that though, like especially because we talked about like the state of like all Detroit teams. It seems like,
yeah,
except maybe the Lions. Like it seems like basically all of them are going through rebuild. In baseball, rebuilds take longer than they do necessarily than like the NBA.
But
like,
they don't have to. They don't
really?
have to.
Because
you can still build a team, and that's the thing. I agree with you. They take generally the parity in the NFL allows you to turn around a team in about 2 to 3 years.
Absolutely.
Which is why everybody's so excited for the Lions next year. Like literally, everybody is so excited for the Lions last year because it seems like they finally got the rebuild done right. Hockey's going to take a little bit longer because you got prospects. I agree with you that baseball is going to take a little bit longer because most of the time you're trading established stars for younger prospects, and those have to. However, if you build the right type of profile and you build the right type of roster and the right type of team, it doesn't have to take that long. The Guardians last year, everybody thought the Guardians were the cast-off team. They were surprised when Jose Ramirez signed with them. They were the youngest team in baseball last year and the best team in the AL Central.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have to take that long. It's about who you acquire and how you bring them along, and more specifically, how you develop them. What the Tigers lacked over the last few years was a good developmental program.
Right.
Because they had too many guys that were just legacies and weren't really good baseball development people.
Right.
Well, last year they bring in guys from the Dodgers organization to help their player development.
Right.
And guys and young prospects like Colt Keith and those guys, they're taking off. Potentially could be challenging for a starting spot at third base. Colt Keith, and he was in Double-A last year. Then Scott Harris comes in, and you saw all of the coaching changes that he made, focused on what he said in his presser. We're going to acquire young talent. We're going to develop and retain young talent, and we're going to control the strike zone.
Right.
Those are the 3 things that he said. And guess what? Every player that he's brought in this year has been young and controls the strike zone.
Yep.
And then, on top of that, now, I get it. The owner goes down to Lakeland, says, we got a new plane, and we're getting a new clubhouse. Like, they're revamping the clubhouse, which is good. But people are like, well, why didn't can the plane pitch 200 innings? Can the plane play defense? Like, can it hit the ball? Like, why are we spending money on that and not players, right? Develop and retain young talent. This is important because if you have young talent, you want to make the Tigers what the Lions seem to be right now. You want to make them that destination.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Winning helps, for sure. Winning helps. And that's the underlying foundation of everything. I agree with you.
Okay.
Because I think that's where you were going.
No. It's not everything. Because even if you look at like the Pistons, like when they we talk about how in the NBA it can be a guy or two that changes your whole fortune. When Cade Cunningham was a rookie, the Pistons were losing, but seeing his growth and seeing him like mature immediately, that's what gave teams or fans like that hope. I don't think we're going to see that from the Tigers. Like, yes, the young guys is a lot predicated on them. I think it's going to take a little bit longer to see that growth and that development, especially in a sport where a lot of the pieces are dependent on guys working together, those units working together, more so than a lot of other sports. So I think that frustration is all residing in that. Like, we had to get the right people in the front office, and now we have to see if these young pieces are going to work and develop. And I don't think fans are in a position where they're patient enough to wait for that. They're saying, show me before I believe anything at this point.
I get it. You said that last time, right? It's like, prove it. It's like,
absolutely.
Prove it, right? What if I said, just give it one more year? And let me be very clear about this. Good baseball happening in 2024, with 2023 being a very pleasant surprise for you. Because I don't think expectations can be any lower for the Detroit Tigers right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
I would almost be willing to bet they will exceed most fans' expectations this summer.
Which you said, if I'm not mistaken, is like what, north of like 60 plus games, I think? Or more than that?
I think they win a minimum, not a minimum. I think they win a minimum of 6 more games this season, which put them at 72, and they could potentially win 14 more games, which would put them at 80. And 80 wins is an exciting baseball season.
That's a sizable leap, though.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, we've addressed this. We've said, number one, historically bad injury luck last year.
For sure. For sure.
Historically bad career performances by some of your key guys that you thought you were getting contributions from. Jamer Candelario, who's no longer here anymore and shouldn't be here anymore. People upset that he's not here to play third base. There's a reason he's not here to play third base. If he has a great time in Washington, good. Good for him. I'm glad. I'm just glad we didn't pay him $5 million to see if he would be good again this year.
Right. Because
we have Andre Lipsius. We have Colt Keith. We have the potential to fill third base. Just, with less experienced guys, I get that, but younger guys and guys that control the strike zone better. Jonathan Scope, not great. Javi Baez, not great in the first half. All of that is true. It's going to be very unlikely that all of that is true again in 2023. Not to mention 17 different starting pitchers. Not to mention Eduardo Rodriguez, who goes missing off the face of the earth for 4 months, right?
That's still crazy, yeah.
All of that combined leads to a bad clubhouse, for sure. No doubt it leads to a bad clubhouse. But you can already see in the week that they've been there in Lakeland that things seem a little bit different. There seems to be a buzz. And all I'm going to tell fans, and all I'm going to say is, you know me. Listen, I did the corner all last season. I cover the Tigers for DSN. This is my team. Eric's got the Pistons. We both share the Lions. I've got the Tigers.
Yep.
I'm asking you not to be patient for a rebuild. I'm asking you to be patient for a roster correction this season. And that's what's happening. You got rid of dead weight. Both Castros, Victor Reyes, Jamer Candelario, gone. Why? Because they're not Major League Baseball players. But yet they're the type of players that Al Avila collected.
Right.
Scott Harris is not collecting those players. Scott Harris is going out. He's getting players that other teams don't want but fit the profile that he has to create organizational depth.
Mm-hmm.
To fill in if we need him to fill in. The season will really take off in July at the trade deadline. That's when Scott Harris's work begins.
Okay.
He had this offseason. This offseason was, this is what my roster looks like. This is what I want it to kind of look like. And 2023 is going to, or this is what I want it to look like. 2023 is going to give me a mirage of what I want it to look like so that I can then get to what I want it to look like. Does that make sense? That was a very roundabout way of saying it. But you've got trade pieces. You've got the ability to move players. And I don't think his offseason is necessarily done yet because there's some people out there that he could still sign if he wanted to sign. There's going to be roster spots open. And the trade deadline is in July. And that's when you can start to evaluate Scott Harris. You cannot put any of this on Scott Harris at all.
Not at all. No, I don't have any of those.
If you want to be mad at Chris Ilitch, you can be mad at Chris Ilitch. But at the same time, and I want to be political when I say this.
Don't be.
Okay, Chris Ilitch is a baseball moron. So the fact that he is, behind the scenes, I appreciate that to an extent. Mm-hmm. He should have gotten involved in the Avila situation much earlier than he did, but he didn't. So now we move on, and now he's letting Scott Harris do his thing, and I'm cool with that. Let Scott Harris do the baseball talking. You know why? Because Scott Harris is not a baseball moron. Right. He's not at all. So
that's a good step forward.
It is a good step forward, and I'm just telling the fans, like, please. You are listen. I'm going to tell you this. I've been to games all over the country. Yes, it's biased. Yes, I don't care. Detroit Tigers fans are the best baseball fans in America. Okay. This city has the best group of sports fans, in my opinion.
Okay.
Around.
Okay.
Do not give up on the Tigers. You can be fed up. You can be irritated. I get it. It's painful. It sucks to watch bad baseball. But it's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be this year.
I hope so.
I will guarantee you that it will not be as bad as you think it's going to be this year.
I hope your voice resonates enough because I've done my recon and research on the pulse of the fan base. And it seems like on social media, more fans are excited about Miguel Cabrera's new hairstyle than the on-field product that they're going to see from this team. And that worries me immensely.
And I think that those opinions will change by June.
By June? Okay, so just a few months.
I think there's going to be people that are like, oh, maybe this team isn't as bad as I thought they were. Maybe Scott Harris really does know what he's doing.
But you would agree. But you would agree that a lot has to happen in order for that to go down that course. It's not going to be just a couple little tweaks. It has to be a lot of things working right in order for them to get to that path. Would you agree with that?
They made the biggest move getting rid of Al Avila. They made the second biggest move restructuring and changing and adding to their coaching staff. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things have already changed.
Right.
AJ Hinch is still the best or one of the best managers in the game of baseball. I will argue that until the day I'm dead. He's a great guy for this team.
Very hopeful on him, yeah.
So there's not a lot that necessarily needs to change. Execution has to take place. That's
the biggest point.
That's the biggest point.
Okay.
And I think that they have enough exciting prospects and enough exciting people in camp to make that happen. And it's going to be a different game anyways. Rule-wise, things have changed. We can touch on this really quick. Mm-hmm. Major League Baseball has changed some of their rules. So, honest to God, okay? Do you sit and watch a baseball game?
Begrudgingly.
You're flipping through the channels. You're flipping through the channels and you're like, oh, the Tigers are on. I'm going to sit here for 3 hours and watch it.
I can. I watch golf.
I didn't ask if you could. I did not ask if you could. I asked if you willingly sit down and watch the Tigers.
Not lately.
Okay.
If they give me a reason to, I will.
Okay.
But I can if they give me a reason to.
Okay. So it's like me in the NBA. Like,
Sure,
I do
yes.
not, like, I
Yes.
will readily admit I do not watch the NBA right now. It's
That's fair.
pathetic. Did you see Dame Lillard was sitting out, or he did sit out
I did see that.
the first
Yeah.
game after the All-Star break because of rest? Oh my God. What the heck is going on? That's beside the point. Anyways, a lot of people are complaining about Major League Baseball, the length of game, how long it takes, which I'm sure factors into your unwillingness.
100%.
Okay. There's some rule changes. There's going to be a pitch clock. Pitchers have 15 seconds from the time they receive the ball to pitch the next pitch with nobody on base. 20 seconds with a guy on base. They think this will encourage stealing bases, which is always an exciting play in baseball. And they think that it'll significantly cut down time.
Mm-hmm.
The bases are also larger. They're 18 inches now instead of 15 inches. 1, to encourage stealing bases. 2, to encourage less collisions at like first base and things like that. Also, teams are not allowed to shift anymore. Do any of those rules move the needle for you? Do you think that the game will be more exciting?
The pitch count
Because
helps. The pitch count definitely helps. Like I used to watch baseball a lot with my grandfather, and one of his biggest complaints is now passing on to me. Oh, every time they pitch, takes them a whole minute to get another one up. Like, yeah, that is kind of annoying. You up here just literally fixing your gloves,
Fixing the hat,
immensely
licking the
fixing hat,
fingers,
licking your
yeah.
fingers, spitting. Yeah, that's obnoxious. That's absolutely obnoxious.
It is
Now,
obnoxious.
again, I'm a little more patient. Like I grew up caddying and watching golf, so I'm
Okay.
a little more
Yeah,
patient
sure.
and able to watch baseball. But again, based on the product I'm seeing and what the Tigers have given us and what they've been fed from the front office, it makes it hard on top of like the frustrating parts of the game. But yes, that absolutely does help. I do think they need to shrink the number of games. Like I think 160 plus is just ridiculous.
You can't do that, man.
You got it. You got to
I mean,
trim it down
I agree.
somehow.
Actually, I 100% agree with you. I
Mhm.
agree with you. They need to shrink the amount of games, but it'll never happen because of the amount of money. Like eight games worth of revenue for owners.
Yeah.
That's a significant chunk of change.
Yeah, that's why
You know
the
what I'm
NFL's
saying?
trying to add on more games. I
Right.
totally get it.
It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know how I feel necessarily about the rule changes. I mean, when you're awarding. So here's what I didn't tell you. If a pitcher doesn't deliver the ball in 15 seconds, it's an automatic ball.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That does
And-
make it a little more interesting. Okay.
And
I like that.
if the hitter is not in the box within 8 seconds and ready to hit,
Auto
it's an
strike.
automatic strike.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The baseball purist in me is screaming nasty words in my head right now because I get it. Like I get it. The product of baseball has taken a lot longer than
Yes.
it should, but that's kind of what baseball was meant to be. It's always been a game without a clock. You never had to beat the clock, right? You didn't have to wait for the zeros. Everybody got their outs and their at bats. It's going to be good. It's going to move the games along, which is good. But I always thought, too, you know what? Maybe we cut a few commercials in between innings that might also cut down on some time that we have for baseball. I don't know. I'm excited. There's going to be a lot more baseball talk that we have because it's just what I do. I mean, you should have seen me last baseball season. I had
Oh,
MLB TV with 4 screens on my computer.
oh,
4
you a
different games
junkie.
while the Tigers were playing.
You a junkie. Look at you.
I like the game. I mean, I like the game of baseball. I can't help it, and so I'm excited to talk, especially since Tigers are going to be better than you think. They're going to be better than you think. I promise they'll be better than you think. And everybody just needs to take one big collective sigh of relief and just say, "In Scott Harris, we trust."
No,
Practice
no,
it with
no.
me.
No,
Practice
no,
it
no.
with me. On
Okay.
3. Ready? 1,
Five.
2, 3. In
It's
Scott Harris, we trust. Thank you.
But be very clear. Let's extend it even more because you're speaking on his behalf. So in AJ, you have to trust.
That's also
Your
true. Yeah.
name and your voice is on this as well. So in AJ, we have to trust too,
Yeah.
huh?
But here's the deal.
Okay.
Go to our YouTube page, subscribe, hit the notification button because all of our content drops there. Go to our playlist, go to the corner, go watch my clips from last baseball season and see how I was right more than I was wrong.
Yep.
And
I
I'll
like
build
your
that trust for you. I
like your
promise you I'll
baseball
build that
content.
trust for you.
Yes.
Because I said Eric Haas should have been starting back in June. And guess what?
It worked out. Mm-hmm.
I was right. Who's our starting catcher this year? It's going to be Eric Haas. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, in Scott Harris we trust, and you can stamp that certified AJ approved.
Yep.
Let's talk about a team
that
that is exciting, though. Let's transition. And let's talk about a team that is exciting, because on March 15th, NFL free agency begins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that in Detroit, we got to kind of reshift our mind and our thinking, because the last Thursday in April was always our Super Bowl. The NFL draft, baby.
Yep.
But it's no longer our Super Bowl. Why? Because this team is good enough to compete and contend for one in the future.
Yep.
So that means free agency is important. And we'll get to draft talk. But before you can have draft talk, you got to know what they're doing in free agency. The question is, Eric, do the Lions make a large splash to bring in a free agent this offseason? Or maybe rephrase it as, should they make a big splash?
Yes. They should. They have to. They have to.
Have to?
They have to.
They have to?
They have to.
No.
I don't believe on a crop of the. I think what they did last year or last season was very rare. I think what they did in terms of having the defense be predicated on the success of rookies is extremely rare.
Sure, for sure. But they drafted good rookies.
Right. But
Okay.
banking on that repeatedly worries me.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
for that, I believe they have to, at the very least, make one splash. Now, how they do it is important. I'm not saying go throw $100 million at Deron Payne. I like Payne, but I'm a little more reserved on what I would give up to bring him in. I would rather they spend a late-round pick maybe to mold a late-round defensive tackle instead of overpaying for him. Because on the D-line, I don't think you need to have that. But like we talked about last episode, the secondary, if you make a big splash for a Jalen Ramsey.
I thought you were going to bring up wide receivers again.
Well, they're not in a position where they need that for the receivers. We're gonna get into that at another time. Your views on receivers.
Yeah, we are. We
talk
need
about
to
that.
actually.
But I think they do, because you can't have a team that's based on just pure young talent. You need some been there, done that guys. You have a young coaching staff. You have a young front office. You have a young core group of players. Like if Jared Goff is your most seasoned veteran, you need more veterans and stars around you. So, like, I think they are in a position where they have to at least make one splash at a very important position, whether it's a linebacker they trade for, a cornerback they trade for. They do need to make a splash instead of just solely relying on draft success to come back.
So that free agent that they must sign is a defensive player for you.
For sure. Yep. And I think, yes, it has to be.
Okay, is this a situation where, I'm trying to think through this. Like, I've been looking at, like, the free agent list and who's available, how much cap space they have, which is about $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need one great signing or, like, 3 good signings? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are they equal?
I'm gonna say one. I don't think they need to get desperate and just like do what
throw money at everybody.
Yeah, what the Jaguars did, I didn't like that. They just paid
worked
everybody.
Out for them, though. They got
offseason.
to the playoffs.
Yeah, it worked, but I still
weren't great. But
I still don't like that philosophy though.
Sure.
Like you're gonna have. I'd rather build through the draft and like have those kind of long-term pieces you have to the draft instead of spending the money out. So I'd rather see them do that. But a splash, I think, is required. And you pushed back, so it seems like you don't agree with that.
I don't think it's...
You don't think they have to?
I don't think they have to. I don't think... I don't know, I'm torn. Do I want them to? Yeah, I probably want them to. Do I think they have to, though? I really don't think they have to. The thing about Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, specifically Brad Holmes, is since he's been on the job, he's kind of been this like steady Eddie, like I've got this, don't worry, I've got a plan, we're sticking to the plan, boom, this is what's happening, right?
Mhm.
And it's worked out well. He stuck to his guns, and Penei Sewell fell in his lap, then Hutchinson fell in his lap, and then he traded up to get J-Mo, and they all seemed really excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost feel like, okay, if that is kind of the philosophy, is we've got this plan, we're sticking to this plan, then I don't think it's a have to make a splash. But I think it's we're going to sign guys that fit. Like, you would agree that the Lions defense has more holes than just a defensive tackle.
For sure. 100%.
Or just a cornerback.
Yeah, all three layers they got holes.
So if I could not get a Javon Hargrave or a Daron Payne,
mm-hmm.
and take that money and spend it on a second tier corner.
Okay.
A Leighton Vander Esch from Dallas, right? Linebacker.
The DB
Maybe
from
that
Philly.
fits the plan better, and then you know, okay, I'm gonna get one of those top tier talented guys at whatever position I didn't fill in the draft. I don't know, a splash just, I don't know.
I think because they made splashes in the draft indicates that they realize that those moves are kind of necessary. And again, when you're just building it on guys that are young, you're still going to need veterans around them to kind of help them get in the positions that they need. Like, especially on the defense, like they need that. Like, I don't think they can just solely rely on just getting the right pick and just hoping that guy pans out. Like, I think, especially where we talked about it last episode, we agree they have a 2-3 year Super Bowl window. So if you have that, you got to make some bold splashes to put those guys in the right position.
That window can be extended, though. Would you say that the Chiefs Super Bowl window has only been a couple of years at a time?
No,
no,
not at all.
Because they've built the right way. And what big splashy free agents did they sign?
I mean, you could debate
Tyrann Mathieu.
You could debate they did it the right way. I think they could get away with it because they have Mahomes.
Well, hold on a second. They also, they were smart about their cap. They didn't pay Tyreek Hill. They traded him to Miami for compensation.
Yeah, because he said he wanted more money. Yeah.
Right. Because
you had Pat Mahomes.
Well, yes, there's that, but I mean, everybody. I don't know. I'm really torn on this because
you think they can. Okay, we both agree they need to be in the playoffs. You think they can get there by, let's say they just draft right, but rely on in free agency re-signing the veterans that they want. Let's say they bring Shark back, Bugs, and Jamal Williams.
Bugs, yes. Jamal Williams, yes. Shark, don't pay Shark.
I'm okay if people don't want Shark. I'm okay with that.
I got no interest in Shark. Listen, here's the thing. We keep coming back to wide receivers. First of all, Tyreek Hill said that he wanted to play with Jared Goff, right?
Crazy.
Or that he'd like to play with Jared Goff.
Crazy.
What out of left field? I pray, I hope in this internet age that's fake, first of all. Because I don't want people going, oh man, Tyreek will look good in Honolulu blue. No, absolutely not. No. Because of the amount of you're entertaining it.
I'm not. If we love J-Mo here, we can't sit here and say Tyreek would be terrible here. I'm not gonna do that.
I didn't say he would be terrible. I'm saying don't spend the resources to even entertain. Like, it's not even worth the brain cells to even entertain that nonsense.
I'm okay with that argument.
And by the time that he's able to come here because his contract is in a good spot or it's over with, he's not going to be Tyreek Hill anymore.
I agree with that.
So, just stop. Can we stop with this? Because I'm pretty sure that I've seen the already mocked up him in Honolulu Blue picture.
Blame him then. Don't blame the
I
fans
do.
because
I
he
do.
did this. We didn't
Players
ask
got
for this.
players got to
Goff
stop
is-
doing this.
Jared
They got to
Goff
stop
sitting
doing
at
this.
home like whose bucket list has
I know.
Jared Goff at the top? Like
well,
nobody thought that. We was chilling.
yeah. Second of all, PFF mocked a trade between the Lions and the Bengals. Us sending one of our first round picks and another pick for T. Higgins.
Hate it.
Hated it.
Hated it. Definitely hated that.
We spent our capital on a wide receiver last year.
Mm-hmm.
J-Mo.
Yep.
You don't need to spend more capital on a wide receiver.
Not high capital. They don't need to spend high cap. They do. They could use another receiver. Would you disagree with that?
Yeah. Actually, I
Yeah.
would. I
You
would disagree.
No,
Yes, I
you're
would
tripping.
disagree with that.
No, they do need another receiver. They have J-Mo we're not sure about yet. They have Amon-Ra, who's at best he's very, very good. He's elite. But there could be a world where he's not even your number one guy. You still don't have a solidified set of tight ends. You may not bring Shark back. They definitely need another receiver. They do.
You got Josh Reynolds.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not making a trade for a wide receiver this year. I'm bringing back who I can bring back, which may mean bringing back Chark, which may mean bringing back Josh Reynolds, and that's okay.
Right.
I'm okay with those guys.
Okay.
I'm not trading draft capital, and I'm also not paying top dollar for Chark.
I wouldn't either.
I'm not even going to
wouldn't
give him more than the $10 million I paid him last year.
I'm with you.
I might do it 2 years for 10 each.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Right?
Yep.
220, like 2 for 20.
Yep.
But there's no way I'm paying. Because, again, I don't believe in top value for wide receivers. I just think that it's insanity. So when it comes to, I don't know.
For some receivers you can break the bank open for. It's okay. The Philly just did it for A.J. Brown. It got him to the Super Bowl. It's
got
not
him
a
to the Super
terrible
Bowl.
idea.
Did it win him the Super Bowl, though? No, it
Do you
did
think
not.
they're regretting that they put that capital up for him?
No.
They're fine with it.
I don't think they are, but I just don't. You don't. I understand it's a passing league. I get all that. Those are the arguments. I got called an idiot. I got told I don't know the game of football, and you can tell that he's never played, which is...
Instagram had a blast with you last week. Boy.
It's highly false that I've never played the game of football, and have probably played at higher...
He has played, guys. Let's put that on the record. I don't agree with it, but he
probably
has
played
played
at a higher level than most people, but that's okay. I was a quarterback, so I value wide receivers, but I just don't in the NFL.
Let me go back to my question then. So
Yeah,
would you be okay with their philosophy being, okay, we're just going to stick to the draft and maybe look at our core guys that were here last year, re-sign them, and focus on the draft being our primary focus of building if their plan is to get to the playoffs?
No. They need to make moves in free agency. I don't think they need to make
splash moves.
I don't think they need a splash move. I don't think they need a splash. I don't think they need a Deron Payne or. I really don't. I'm looking at this list right now, and I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, you got like Levante David, who's like the 24th best free agent.
I wouldn't bring him in.
Okay, he's old. He's 33.
Right.
I get it.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But 2 to 3 year window, maybe. Cameron Sutton, lower level like cornerback, right? Like, not gonna be a huge. I don't know. I just don't think that a splat. Would I love it? Yes. I want to make sure that I'm very clear about this. Like, if they sign Deron Payne, I'm gonna be like, yes, good job.
So let me ask you. Okay, so you're saying you think they need I don't know if you're saying they don't need a splash, or you're just like conservative on how much
I'm being
you're
conservative. I'm being conservative.
Okay, fine.
Because I want to protect the integrity of what they are building, right?
Right.
And a lot of that has stemmed from the capital that they have.
Okay.
So in order to maintain that capital, and I'm not saying that you hoard what you have.
You don't do that.
But when you have cap space, you need to spend cap space. Like, here's my philosophy. If there's a cap, then you spend up to the 99th cent of that cap.
Okay.
If you feel like you want to pay the tax or whatever the penalty is, then do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the ability to sign a Deron Payne and you feel like it fits within your plan, then go for it.
Okay.
But I will say that if that splash play on the free agent market is on the offensive side of the ball, it was the wrong move. Unless it was a lineman.
Okay.
If there are rumors that the Lions are talking to Saquon Barkley, they're getting
Throw
put on
everything out
blast.
the window. Yes.
They're getting put on blast.
Yes, I would hate that.
Josh Jacobs would be in the same boat. I like Josh Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you don't. And if you don't have to pay top dollar for him, I get it. Okay,
Mhm.
sure. I would rather draft somebody in the 3rd, 4th round as a running back that is younger, less mileage. The only person I'd probably be interested as a running back would be a Miles Sanders, depending on his number,
Yeah.
because it kind of fits within that like offensive scheme. It seems a little bit better.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Had a great year last year. I don't know, but I just think like if you're gonna make a splash play, it's got to be a defensive lineman or
Luckily
corner.
for you, it's not a rich class of wide receivers. Like a lot of these guys are
Good.
like, kind of low end number 2s or
Jacoby
like
Myers.
3s. Robert Woods, yeah, like it's not a whole lot of like Marvin Jones. Like these guys aren't breaking the bank type players. So don't
which will be
worry,
fine.
you won't see that happen with the Lions this year. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, good, as they should have, because you don't spend high dollar for wide receivers.
Yeah, it's because the receivers don't matter. They're not valuable at all. Gotcha.
I'm gonna
Boy,
keep
Instagram was on your behind, bro.
They
going off.
they were on, but I mean, there's just so much that has to go right for a receiver to do his job.
Yeah. He's just the
Offensive
unique piece
line
of
has
that.
to hold up. The quarterback has to make the right read. The quarterback has to throw the ball accurately and on time. Oh, and by the way, the defense has to be in the right coverage for the quarterback to even look your way. And you have to run the right route. And there's just so much that has to go right for a wide receiver to do their job.
Right, but sometimes in a movie,
And but I will say that there are wide receivers that can cover the sins of bad quarterbacks. I'm with you. But after this season, do you really believe that Jared Goff needs that kind of receiver?
he could use another receiver.
He can.
Because at
I
this
didn't
point,
say.
Does he need a top end flight? No. We don't need to go spin for a Jamar Chase type dude, but
or T Higgins for crying out loud.
Definitely not for T Higgins. No, but
I like T Higgins. I just don't like
me
him
too.
being traded to the Lions because that's like.
No. But this notion.
That speaking of which,
least valuable.
That same this just hit me. That same article by PFF that had the Lions trading for T Higgins had Ramsey going to the Dolphins for a second round pick and a second round next year.
I can see them actually doing that. Miami seems like
forget about the team. Forget about the destination. Forget about that. We talked last week about having to spend the 18th or the 6th pick on him.
Right.
And PFF is valuing him at a second round and an additional second round.
Oh, yeah. Then I would have no problem in that case.
No problem.
Yeah. Like I said, if you can finesse them, the Rams could be in a position where they need to let go of some guys. So if we can finesse, go for it. The second, easy. Pick up the phone right away, Brad Holmes.
Bobby Wagner. Oh, this was it.
I saw that too, yep.
The Rams, so their projected trade for Jalen Ramsey. They send Jalen Ramsey and a 5th round compensatory pick and acquire a 2023 second round and a 2024 second round.
Easy. That's easy, especially considering where the Lions are now. Do that immediately. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. March 15th is when it picks up.
Yeah.
It's when free agency starts. And according to you, Deron Payne's going to be a Detroit Lion.
Get that money ready. That big cash coming.
I mean, you got... nobody knows what's happening. Here's just a rundown of some of the top free agents, according to CBS. Lamar Jackson, number 1, but nobody really knows what's going on with him.
Yes.
Derek Carr, who we've talked about previously.
Your boy.
Yeah. I mean, look, I was proud of what he did.
Mhm.
Javon Hargrave,
Mhm.
defensive tackle. Jerron Payne, defensive tackle. Saquon, stay the heck away from Detroit.
Don't do it. Don't do it, guys.
Marcus Davenport, edge, defensive end. Orlando Brown, offensive tackle. Juwan Taylor, offensive tackle. Daniel Jones is the 9th best free agent available. You got to be kidding me.
No way. That's
according
disgusting.
to CBS. Come on.
That's terrible.
Jeez, Jason Kelsey, which he's going to stay in Philadelphia. There's no way that he leaves. Josh Jacobs, Jamel Dean, the cornerback from Tampa Bay. That's a good name.
Yeah.
James Bradbury, cornerback from Philadelphia. Another good name. Tremaine Edmonds, another good name. Like, I'd be all in if they got. Please rid us of Alex Anzalone.
Please. And that horrible secondary too.
Jesse Bates, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Love him. Would love him in Detroit.
Yeah, Evan Ingram. I mean, signing a free agent tight end is not out of the question either, because I'd rather not spend draft capital on a tight end. Give me a guy here for 1 to 2 years.
If they draft
Levante David, too old.
Anything within the 3rd round, I'm gonna be sick.
TJ Edwards. Honestly, if they address offense before the 4th round, with the exception of Bijan Robinson falling to the 2nd round, I would be upset.
You mean it's turned up a skill position players? Because if they get a guard,
yeah. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Thank you for not getting it's Instagram okay. on my behind this time.
Yeah, Instagram. Sit out, guys. Sit out. Everybody go. Oh, he's at it again. Let's get him. Like, all right, sit out. Get your pitchforks down.
Yeah, but I'm not. If Anthony Richardson's there at 18, he's intriguing. I'm not interested.
I get that. He's
intriguing. Don't get me wrong. And as we get closer to draft time, I might be more for it. But like, I don't. Defense, and free agency, defense. And then you've got run it back with the offense you had last year. And go to town, man. Like, just do it.
Let that offense flourish.
Oh, he's going to be our quarterback for a long time. He's going to be our quarterback for a long time. I just know it. Yeah, I mean, listen, my worst nightmare is them winning a playoff game next year. Potentially a Super Bowl appearance within the next 2 years with Jared Goff as their quarterback and that man getting a statue.
How quick those number 9 jerseys will be forgotten in Detroit. Matt, what? Who? Huh?
Oh, my worst nightmare. Goffense.
It's here, baby.
I just need to probably accept the fact that he's going to be a Detroit Lion for a long time. Like, they're going to extend him. I just know it. Like, now I'm starting to get that feeling like...
I keep forgetting he's only like 28 years old, because you would think the way they talk about him, he's like...
I know. And he played really well at the end of the season last year. Like, yes. I'll give him his props. Man. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I mean, everybody lists quarterback as a position of need for the Lions. Did you know that?
I have seen that.
Which I'm for. Like, I'm here for it because everybody thinks you need a dual threat at this point. Listen, I will say it and I will say it again, and then we can move on to hoorah or who cares. Mm-hmm. If Jared Goff wants to restructure his contract and get below like the 10% of the cap mark, I'd be okay for a couple more years. For a couple, yeah. I can't. Listen, other than the Chiefs this year, obviously, and I don't even know. I'd have to look because I haven't looked it up. But like since 2012, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks do not go above like 12% of their team's overall cap. And where's Jared Goff right now? 13.4%. So we gotta get that number down.
Shave some of that off, man.
Yeah, big time. God bless. All right, final segment of the night. Hoorah and who cares? Let's shout out a good sports story. Let's knock down something that we are sick of talking about. Eric, who's your hoorah this week?
My hoorah is the team I'm having a blast covering and had an unbelievable comeback victory last night. Shout out to the Motor City Crews doing unbelievable things right now. They were down like 15 points last night to the Delaware Blue Coats.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night. And they were playing against the new darling of basketball, Mr. Matt McClung, who stole everybody's heart in the dunk contest. And what did we steal? A victory from Matt McClung in beautiful fashion. Shout out Buddy Boeheim, still hot. Stanley Amude having a nice game. Kyler Edwards playing fantastic basketball. Jared Roden, who looks like he should be an NBA player every time he's on the court. There is some great talent in the Motor City Crews. If you have not made your way down to Wayne State and check them out at the Field House, there's a few home games left throughout the rest of the season, throughout March. Check them out. They're playing great. 5-game winning streak. Shout out to the Motor City Crews.
Good one. You're really having fun.
I'm having a blast, man. They're doing great things right now. I'm excited for those boys.
Good.
Shout out Coach Baker too. DJ
Hopefully
Baker.
they can help the professional team because they're not that good.
Yeah, they
15 and 44.
They just lost to Orlando, so
yeah, surprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, my hoorah is going to head to what we kind of let off the show with, the ice.
Oh,
and I'm going to shout out our Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, okay.
Who are on a tear since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
Entering the game last night against the Rangers, they were 2 points behind the Florida Panthers for the last spot in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they whooped the Rangers last night, 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
This team's playing well. The trade deadline is looming. Dylan Larkin is not going anywhere. He's going to sign an extension.
He's been playing well.
I would almost guarantee it, even though he did get ejected the other night for the high cross check on TJ Oshie, but that's okay. You can high cross check TJ Oshie all you want.
Good.
So I want to shout out the Wings. Let's end a 6-year playoff drought. Let's keep the push going. Let's get it done. And in Derek Lalonde's first season behind the bench, let's make them playoffs, boys, and bring back old Hockey Town. The octopus flying and all of that. I love it. It's exciting. Listen, hockey's better when the Red Wings are good. Just like baseball's better when the Yankees are good. No matter how many people hate the Yankees, sports are just better when your traditional teams are good.
Thanks.
And the Wings are good. And they're going to be getting better. They're playing a lot better this year. They're moving on up, and I love to see it.
Yep. Got a good young core set. I'm excited for them.
What is something you're sick of talking about? If you say Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to reach you.
No.
Okay.
Even though he did just come back from his little
He came out of his darkness.
He came out of his cave, you guys.
His hobbit hole.
Oh, my God. My who cares is every single media outlet, betting company, anybody that's affiliated or covering the NBA that has this ridiculous fascination of making redrafts for players before they're even established. Specifically, Cade Cunningham's year. Every single week, there's a new NBA redraft of how Cade maybe he's outside the top 5. Now it was FanDuel who did it just a couple days ago, where Franz Wagner and Evan Mobley were drafted ahead of him, which is absurdity. They're putting role players ahead of this guy when Cade has superstar talent compared to everybody else in his class. And again, he hasn't even played 2 straight seasons. He ain't even played 82 total games yet. And they're already doing redrafts on these players? It's buffoonery. I'm sick of it. Cade is ahead of his class, and I'm tired of people pretending like it with these redrafts. Stop it. Stop it. All of y'all, stop it.
That's a good one.
That was personal. I'm sorry.
That was personal, and it should be, right? Because can we stop? Like, here's what I don't like, right? Why are we writing 21, 22, 23-year-old kids off?
Bruh, like, can you give them some time, please?
Like, especially
That's too
like
much to ask for?
Yeah, we talked about baseball tonight, especially like baseball, right? We got all these kids that are 24, 25, 26 years old. You don't hit your prime in baseball until 28, 29, 30.
Right.
Can we let them get there first and then make a judgment on them?
Please.
For the
Please.
love of everything.
I don't know what happened with Cade. Ever since he put them buffs on and embraced Detroit and we got the lottery pick.
That's why. Because everybody hates Detroit.
They have just
Detroit versus everybody, man.
Yes. There's been a complete number 2 on him, and I don't understand it. I'm tired of it. Anybody who follows me on Twitter knows I'm his anger translator, so I'm all for protecting him.
That's literally in your Twitter bio.
Absolutely. All right, what's yours, man?
Man, what? You know what I'm sick of talking about, actually?
What's that?
And it's been on DSN. Can I would like to go a week, and this might actually surprise you, so I'm waiting for this reaction here.
Man.
I'm kind of done hearing Jim Harbaugh's name.
What? No way you just said that. No way.
I'm kind of done, man.
No way.
Like, it started with all the freaking Harbaugh to the NFL stuff, and then can we just stop for a second? Just time out. It's baseball season. The hockey playoffs are around the corner. Your face, man.
I have a question, but I'm gonna let you cook. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't care about Jim Harbaugh right now. Like, I don't. I love Michigan football, and I want them to make it to the college football playoff next year. But for the love of everything that is holy, can we just stop for a second? It's like the dude, he breathes one way, and they're like, oh my gosh, Jim Harbaugh did this. And we're like, let's write 1,000 articles about it. Everybody on the internet. And I'm like, goodness gracious. Can we stop? Just for a second, can we stop? Just let baseball season happen. Michigan football will be here in September.
So you don't think he has any responsibility in that at all?
Oh, 100%. That's why it's annoying.
Okay. As long as you can say that, I'm fine with it.
Yes,
that's
100%.
Cool. Okay.
He plays the game just like everybody else.
Damn right he does.
And I guarantee you, I guarantee you, it's a recruiting ploy in a way.
Yes.
Let me get my name in the headlines as often as I can, so people have the name recognition. And it's not like bad stuff. Like, it's not like he's doing stupid things, and I think that he really does a great job running the program.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, if there was a mute button in life like there is on Twitter, I think I would mute the word Jim Harbaugh right now.
Until he's taking interviews next season with the Seahawks. With
oh, no. Apparently on Thursday he came out and said how long he wanted to be at Michigan. I didn't read the article because I didn't care.
No, you just...
just come on, man. Just come on.
Maybe he'll help that. Maybe he'll stop entertaining interviews and stop having passive aggressive little post games comments about. Oh, I'm happy to be here for this season. Just be a Michigan man for life. Go ahead and say it. You ain't gonna get it no better than how you have it now. You're not gonna go back to the NFL and have a better opportunity than what you have now.
You're 100% correct. You are 100% correct.
Come on, Jim.
So can we just stop? Like,
that was a good one.
Thank you. I knew you were. I
knew
you were gonna. I was like, as I was thinking of it, I was like, oh boy, Eric's about to lose his mind.
I was not ready.
You literally became the emoji in that moment, and your mind just went.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was like 7 emojis in that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And you are welcome for creating this type of content for you to enjoy.
Yo.
This has been Beyond the Box. I'm AJ. He's Eric. We've got a weekend to get to. Hopefully you have a safe one as well. We will see you on Tuesday night when our next show drops. Until then, be safe and have a great time.